Hey, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Gruber Wired. I'm Mark Beach.
I'm John Dotson, and welcome once again.
Welcome. Well, you caught us at a great time.
Yeah.
It is Arizona's 1 week of winter.
That's right. We get about that. Yeah, if you call it winter, it's more like spring, right?
Yeah. Well, no, I got freeze warnings on my phone just a little bit ago.
Yeah, but it has not froze.
No.
So.
No, but that's it.
I think we've been down
After a week, it's over.
Yeah.
Don't blink.
Yeah, this is odd weather. Typically, we get a couple days of freezing in the deserts out here.
Yeah.
Throughout the winter time.
Well, and that's Center City, too.
Yeah,
so out here where we are, up North Phoenix area, it'll get colder.
Yeah, we'll get a little bit cold.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, we have a few fires burning around the country to warm us up, right? And,
yeah, there you go.
I just want to say thoughts and prayers to those people, family out there, especially in California, dealing with those fires. It's just
definitely
crazy.
And I'm glad the smoke is blowing out to sea because we've had fires in California before where the smoke comes west and chokes us out pretty good.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I know we're crossing our fingers because we have some family that live outside of LA there.
Oh, yeah?
And so far from what we could gather, they're in good shape. They are on that set part of the scenario.
Wow.
Ready, set, go.
Those pictures are amazing with the
insane
wind.
Yeah.
Like up to 100 miles an hour.
Yeah, just crazy.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Nuts.
So, hey, anyway, got this new hat, right?
Yeah, it's a half invisible hat.
Yeah, well, apparently it's picking up on some of our green screen here. So
yeah.
So as you can tell, I'm missing.
We're just going to call him half head.
No, but lots of good things going on. For those of you that are just coming in and checking it out, we got somebody on there already. Major Tom. Hello, fellas. How is Jesse doing today? Jesse, how are you doing today?
Started an epidemic now.
Pete wants to know what happens to John's head.
Yeah, Pete. No, Pete, again, it's this hat. It's picking up on the surrounding green, even though it's not a green hat. It's bringing the green screen in on the hat. So it just kind of has that incandescent glow there, the green screen.
Incandescent glow, iridescent. Yeah, we'll tell Curious George to stop looking for the man in the yellow hat. We found him.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah,
good
there you
stuff, huh? Anyway, we have something kind of fun and fantastic coming on. We have a new Facebook page. You can go to GCE, Gruber Companies Explorers. And what they're doing here is starting kind of a new trend for the company and those that would like to join along with us. And they're going to have some activities. The first one starting up is coming up on the 18th, I believe, at 7:30 morning. And they're going to go for about a 3-mile hike.
Okay.
And get out there, do some exercising, and just do some more exploring around our area, different things, help improve everybody's overall health.
There you go.
Yeah, so can't go wrong there, can you?
That's what's going on.
Yeah.
That's what's up.
So, again, you can catch that on Facebook, GCE Gruber Companies Explorers. And I'm sure we'll get some more information on this as time goes by.
Yeah, or I think the Power podcast is going to cover it in detail. Yeah. So feel free to watch that.
Yeah. So, kind of some good, exciting stuff going on.
Exciting.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Hey,
it's good stuff. It's good stuff. My excitement level is not peaked by that kind of stuff, but, it's good.
We got off of TikTok. You and Mark Herney look like twins.
Mark
I had to look that up. Love it.
Okay.
Get some good comments coming in. Yeah. Anytime you'd like to comment or actually interact with us, feel free to comment. If you got a subject matter, want to get into some deep discussions about some subject matters, feel free. Yeah, bring it.
And if you'd like to interact with Jesse or Cass or Aaron, feel free to do that too.
Yeah. We encourage it all. So today we're going to talk about, you can see here in the background, what a mess this particular data center is, inside this office building there. There's lots of good things you can do, and there's lots of mistakes that are made while doing it, right? I mean, the intentions are there. You always have some good intentions, but sometimes we just make mistakes. We're human, and things do happen.
It's the creep growth is what it is. It says, I need to add this.
Yeah.
I need to add this. And I need to do it quick.
Yeah.
Right. And
we see that a lot.
Ultimately, and we'll be showing you some pictures, but ultimately that's what happens. A lot of things become something they weren't intended to be, and you just, especially if it's not like a dedicated IT person,
Sure.
you're just maintaining your business, and oh, you need this hooked up and you need that hooked up, and you keep going, and
Especially with the way things are in technology these days. I
Yep.
mean, it's almost like it seems somewhat seamlessly that every other day is almost like a new type of upgrade or something that you may need to take care of.
right.
And so,
And with the
it's
pace of
just-
technology
yeah.
too right now, there's a lot of new things to take advantage of. So, well, that's what we're going to talk about today are some top datacom cabling mistakes, and we'll have a little fun with it.
Yeah, what we got first on our list here?
Is failing to meet bandwidth requirements. So what does that mean?
Well, when you have your equipment, correct?
Yep.
Your equipment is subject to a certain bandwidth, and it will tell you, what is subject to that it can handle.
Right. Back in the old days, you had the 110 networks at 10 base T, you had 10-100,
Yeah.
and now
Look where
there's
we're at now. I mean, it's crazy compared to then. It's growing.
right 100, 1 gig, 40 gig, right? And so different cabling has with it load specifications based on its construction, right?
Correct. Yeah.
And if you use the wrong type of cable, so if you have a 10 gig port and you plug a cable in that's a 1 gig cable,
Yeah.
guess what you're getting?
It's not going to work. You're
1
going to have a
gig.
bottleneck.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. You're not, matching the equipment to the cabling that it's designed for.
Correct. And I think it's photo number 2 that shows our bandwidth chart there.
Yeah.
On TikTok, Jacob Meadows, about a year ago, I was supposed to get a sample of multimode cable. I never got it. Tell you what, Jacob, feel free to reach out to our email. What's our email address again?
It is wired@gruber.com.
Wired@gruber.com. Send us your information. I'll make sure that we get that out in the mail to you.
Yeah, absolutely.
No problem there at all. We'll get you taken care of, Jacob. So take a look here. This is just showing some of the specs for category cable. And again, understanding when you're working with your particular system, the bandwidth that you're working with. So you can see there potential bandwidth on the Cat5e up to 1,000 megabytes. Once you go to Cat 6, it moves on up the table there, right? Get to Cat 6a, 10,000 megabytes. But understanding what your equipment needs are is
Right.
number one.
Right. And so that's just a marriage of your server and the network card in your server, and the switches that's attached to, and the ports on the front of the switches and what they're rated for, because you don't want anything to be mismatched.
Correct.
You want to be able to use your full capability.
Yeah.
And cabling can do that. You think, okay, I got a Fire server with a gigabit card or fiber optic that can go into a converter. I've got a great switch, and then you plug in a Cat5e cable.
Yeah.
Right.
And you get information bottleneck, and
Right.
things start to slow down from there and cause some issues.
Right. It can only go so fast.
Yeah. And everything is backwards compatible.
Right.
So be aware of that too.
Right.
There's
So-
nothing wrong if you're running a Cat5 system of using Category 6 cabling.
Correct.
So that you be future proof in essence when you do upgrade your system.
Right. Exactly. It's better, especially with the cabling, it's better to have more capability than less.
Correct.
Yep.
Yeah. And also don't forget that your cabling is as good as its weakest links, right?
Yeah.
So along this whole chain, every time you have a new connection in place or you're adapting to put in a new, whether it's patch panel or anywhere you find that there is any sort of connection, could be a weak point.
Right.
So make sure that you're checking that out. Make sure you got the proper, jacks to go with the proper cabling as well.
Correct. Yep. Because they're all rated, as well. So
Correct.
you can really nerf things up by not making sure that everything is there.
Yeah. Let's see what we got there.
You too. Hey, how you doing today, Jesse?
Hey, John, there are wires coming out of your head. Yeah, I know there is. So, Jesse, how you doing today, buddy?
Doing Don't really get that part, how you're commenting at this.
Well,
moment.
now that I have this whole invisible
it's his
brain,
it's
brain waves are just zooming out into the screen.
It's his
he's-
AI. He's
got
actually
he's got
AI.
AI brain.
See,
He's
because his brain isn't there.
telepathically submitting stuff over the ether.
See?
There you go. I think more that probably means somebody's on John's computer right now.
Probably. So
Yep.
yeah. So bandwidth requirements, right?
Yep. And then the next thing is using outdated or incompatible standards.
Yeah, that is kind of something that I think that we come across a lot of times in this industry. Even though I'm not out in the field, we get calls upon this from time to time that, hey, we've been using this equipment the past 20 years.
Right.
How do we keep it, operational? And sometimes it's not a matter of how do you keep it operational, is how do you upgrade the equipment that you have and upgrade your standards. I mean, it's
Right. And again, we talked about, using incompatible cables, right?
correct.
And I admit, for a long time before I really got into datacom at this level, if I needed a Cat 6 cable, I just went and bought it. Or I shouldn't even say Cat 6, RJ45. And you go and you look on the shelf and there's RJ45 cables, but they're not all equal.
No, they're not.
Right. So when you're designing a system, especially, you want to make sure that every component is what it needs to be for the throughput.
It's true. And especially today when you start adding things like PoE, right? Power over Ethernet. I know we've talked about this before, but making sure that you have the proper cable to meet those power needs that you're expecting to take place with your equipment.
Right.
You don't want to have any sort of issues where you could have a fire situation.
Right.
Or any sort of hazardous situation because of using the wrong materials.
And as an example, so some people aren't familiar with PoE. So just think of like a conference room phone or your phone at your desk, and you plug it in and it powers up and everything, right?
Correct.
You don't need a separate little jack to plug into an outlet to power it up. It receives the power through the datacom cable.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, so those are things to think about. The other things to think about too when you're working with your cabling, are you in a scenario where maybe you need to use a plenum jacket versus a riser jacket, low smoke zero halogen jacket?
Right.
And there's sometimes where we need to take a look at what meets the standards of the safety codes,
Right.
that are in place as well.
Yep.
So yeah, what we got next here?
We have ignoring compatibility between components.
This I think happens a lot.
Yeah.
And we run into this scenario, and I was just out on a job site today where we were taking a look at a compatibility issue with a cabling.
Right.
It's a POS system, and we're trying to get the POS system
That
to
means
operate.
point of sale, not the
Yes,
other POS.
Correct.
Yes.
Point of sale. But we're trying to get the equipment to operate from the actual sales screen to the printing device.
Right.
And there was a compatibility issue between those two being able to talk with the cabling being used.
Right. And we've had some custom deals that I know I've worked on where they're building actual, type cabinet type devices with specific pinouts. Mm-hmm. So they might be going from a DB9 or a DB 15 to, an RG11 or RJ11 or an RJ12 cable.
45.
Yeah. And so depending on the pinouts, because there might be only out of the 9 pins in a DB9, there might be only 3 that are active.
Correct.
Right.
And when you say pins, for a lot of people out there, if they're watching, they don't understand what we mean. Those are the actual little pins inside those connectors.
Yeah,
that
when
are
you take the
connected
connector and
to
you
the
look
wire.
at it, and you see those little things sticking out, those are pins. And they all have a number. Each one has a number. And basically it's send receive. It's transmit transmit receive. And so how it's wired makes a difference in whether the signals ever make it, from the device that's built, constructed to, let's say, transmit over pin 2 and receive over pin 5, right?
Correct.
Those are real scenarios.
Yeah, especially dealing with category cabling. There's also the scenarios that deal with fiber optics, because we deal with fiber optic cables as well.
Right.
You know, for instance, you cannot take and have a fiber optic cable with a UPC polish on it and use it in conjunction with a polish that is an APC.
Right. So one is a flat polish
Correct.
on the fiber, and the other's an angled polish.
Correct.
Right, and it has to do with the refraction of the light when it hits the end of that termination.
Yeah, so even working in the realm of fiber, because we're talking copper through a lot of this, but
Right.
fiber has those logistics as well that you have to take a look at.
And there are also shielding requirements in some cases, and people use unshielded cables in shielded environments, and you get crosstalk. You have issues because they're using shielding because it's running through an environment where it's potentially being exposed to electricity or EM signatures or RF signatures that will interfere with the data coming across.
Correct. And that's where you say crosstalk.
Right.
To the layman term out there, crosstalk, I think we've all experienced being on the phone.
Yep.
Right? And all of a sudden you hear just a bit of somebody else's conversation for a moment.
Right.
Or you get a disruption in your conversation.
Right.
And that's that transfer of signal interfering with the signal that you're currently using.
Right. Because we're dealing with, electronics, and there's the data that's passing over creates electrical waves or waves, and they can interfere.
Correct. Yeah.
So, yeah. Yep. Pretty fascinating stuff.
Yeah. Now what you got here, number 4, choosing low quality patch cords.
Oh, wait.
Right.
Compatibility 2. Let's go back real quick.
Oh, sure.
And talk about length, because
yes.
yeah, that's a huge thing. I mean, fiber and copper. Stuff is only rated to go so far.
Correct. Before
Right.
you get, retention and signal
Right.
deterioration.
Well, they
and
call
breakdown.
it attenuation, where it starts the signal starts to fade, right? And so, with copper, when you're using just a regular patch cable, there are distance limitations.
Sure.
And same thing with fiber. And we've talked about this before. You get a customer, and if they call in and they want, they're gonna run some fiber, and they want 2,000 feet of OM4 or OM3, not rated for that. It has a distance rating, and so maybe they meant OS2, right?
Yeah, you have to ask those
'Cause
questions to
OS2
determine.
that signal can travel on fiber for kilometers.
Yeah.
But there's a definite foot limit to multimode fiber.
Yeah, and it even crosses over into the cabling world, because anyone who has ever had cable television, right? Cable television, at the beginning of that line, for the first mile and a half, you got great signal.
Right.
And if you live on the rest half end of that mile before they put the repeater in,
Right.
you start to have signal loss, some issues. And typically you'll find that. And then what they do is they put a repeater in there, right?
Right.
They up the strength of the signal, repeat it, shoot it back down the line.
There you go.
But as you go down in between those scenarios, you do have that loss of attenuation that causes problems on the back end of that.
Right. It can affect your data packets and your overall network speed. So, again, when we talk about compatibility, make sure that however the network is designed, whatever cables you're using, they're rated for the distance that you're buying them for.
Sure.
Yep.
And again, future-proof it. Can't
Yes.
say that enough. If you're designing a new system or even upgrading your current system, you can take a look and ask yourself a few questions. What is this going to look like 2 years from now, 5 years from now? What's your expected growth within your business, or
Right.
even personally within your home? What are your expectations as new devices come into your home?
Right.
And start planning ahead so that you're putting the proper equipment in to be able to handle that in the future.
It's always cheaper to invest up front in some of the stuff that you're going to continue to use. Drives me crazy when they build a freeway
Yeah.
and then 2 years later they're tearing down the berm that they built in there with the plants and everything to widen the freeway. Just build the freeway 10 lanes already. Start there, because how much is it costing, future money? It's expensive, right? So build your network with all the lanes you need right up front, or that you anticipate with the right equipment, with the right cabling, so that it is adaptable to the future.
Yeah, and you're right when you say there could be a huge cost savings if you just do it up front.
Right.
It will save you not only time, money, but a headache too.
Well, and generally speaking, certain exceptions, of course, nothing gets cheaper over time.
No, it doesn't, does it?
No.
I
Everything
think we all know
always
that. We've
goes up.
experienced that over the past few years.
Right.
Right.
All right. What do we got next?
Next topic here.
Low quality patch cords.
Choosing low quality patch cords, or I'm going to extend this to equipment and cabling in general.
Right.
There's something to be said for quality.
Yeah, absolutely. There is a difference between copper made one place and copper made another place, and there's a difference between. So I had a customer who was looking for bulk cable, bulk Cat 6, right? Yeah. And I gave him a quote, and he goes, "Oh man, no, I pay, $80-something for mine for 1,000 feet." I'm like, "No, you don't." Now, that may sound a little
possible, but
no, it's not possible. And I'll tell you why, because we know what the pricing is out in the market.
Yeah.
We know what it is. And I said, "Where are you getting it from? Do you have any kind of description?" And he gave it to me, and I'm like, "No, this is copper clad aluminum. It's not copper."
That's what I was going to say. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And he goes, "Oh, maybe that's why my cameras aren't, I'm not getting distance out of it." I'm like, "Yeah, that's why you're not."
Yeah.
I mean, the cable you need is more like $130 for 1,000 feet, not 80. And the copper clad aluminum is not quality wire for what we're doing.
It's not. Plus, it can also be an issue. We already know that there could be fire hazard issues along with using that copper clad aluminum wire.
Right.
I mean, it's happened in the past. It's just, we won't sell it here. I won't touch it.
Right.
I won't do that. No.
No. And that's what happens sometimes when you shop price. You can find your price for sure.
You're always going to find your price.
But, there's something else you're going to sacrifice for it. And when we talk about whether it's, future proofing your network, investing in quality is always most important, I think. This is the lifeblood of your business. This is not something you want to have a hassle with. You want to think about what you're doing with your company, not is the network going to work, right? So hiring a professional, buying quality equipment is always the best route.
Top notch to go. That's the way to go. And especially here, like Gruber, we manufacture our products here,
right?
And we have a high standard of quality,
right?
We do that for a reason,
sure.
And that's because we believe in the product that we put out there. We want you to be in a scenario where your product works, and you can rely on it,
right?
End of story. And along with that comes our lifetime warranty. We give a warranty for a lifetime on our products,
right? And we have great partners where we buy our bulk cable. Quabbin is a great partner, and we do we're very pro Quabbin when it comes to the quality. I think they're second to none. I mean, they really do a great job, provide us a solid product, and we never have any problems with our customers. They're never unhappy with the cable that we send them.
That's so true.
Yeah.
It's a great quality cable. Hey, Jacob just came back on from TikTok. Copper-clad aluminum can be very dangerous when it comes to POE.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, stay away. I say run.
Yeah. And believe it or not, I mean, like I said, this is a real-world thing. I'm not making it up. The customer was arguing with me on price, and he was using the CCA.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, okay, that's why we get to where we are. So that's why you're calling us. Yeah. And it's not arrogance to know what you're talking about.
No,
it's just
not at all.
We're out for the best interest of our customers, and we want our installers to look good when they install product. We want them to look good.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, we do. And here's the thing. We have 40 years of manufacturing experience here
Right.
underneath our belt. Now add up the amount of employees we have, and we have employees that have been here for 30, 40 of those years.
Yeah.
I mean, we have a lot of attenuation with employee knowledge.
Retention. Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
it's here.
Yeah.
We're sticking around. And so let us, we understand where that quality is.
Yeah.
We know, we've been educated on
And some
that.
of it's through trial and error, you know, and everybody makes mistakes when it comes to business partners, but the company's been in business 40 years.
Yeah.
It's had a chance to kind of weed out the pretenders and go with the winners.
Yeah.
And then that's how we work. So,
And, it's that old saying, it's okay to make a mistake, right?
Yep.
It happens.
Yep.
But it's what you do with that mistake.
Exactly.
How do you grow? How do you learn? How do you move forward?
Right.
That's the knowledge that you want to gain.
right.
Yeah.
It's so important. And I think we have one more item in here. Improper installation techniques. That's probably the majority of our pictures here, right?
Yeah, you can start running through some pictures that we pulled up because some of the pictures we have come from
Actual customers.
customers
Yeah, yep.
working out there in the field, taking some pictures and photos and sending to us of.
So we
some
probably
of
want
this
to look
equipment.
at like number 9 first. That number 9? Number nine. Here we go. So
this actually came from one of my customers who took a
Yep.
picture out on the job site that he was working and cleaning up and doing some installation. I don't know about you, but I have seen this scenario throughout my lifetime on many occasions.
well, this is what we talked about at the very beginning. This is I need this,
Yeah.
plug it in. I need this, plug it in. And where am I going to put it? It's got 2 holes here. I can just put a screw in the wall and stick it there.
Stick it there, and here we go.
Yep.
So, to take care of this right the first time is to have a nice little layout. Even though it's a confined small space, you can still take a moment, put together a flow chart and a layout for this, and install it properly with labeling so you know where every cable's going and its destination point. And just make sure it's nice and clean. Not only is this kind of a mess looking there, but if this is underneath the desk, which I suspect it is by the look of that picture or off the side, somebody could easily, be kicking their feet around, get tangled up, disconnect some of the wiring there.
Right.
You can have some issues there.
Well, I think number 10 is the after picture of that one.
Is it?
If I'm not mistaken. New switches, new stuff.
Oh, so they
there.
moved it up on the wall
Yep.
and put your route, looks like a router up there and switches.
Yep.
Yeah.
They just neatened it up, if I'm not mistaken. And then we had number 7.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Right. And again, you look at this and you go, why would anybody do that? But I need to plug it in here. Or I need to move this desk here. Or
You can see there on the site, see that wire sticking out with the RJ45 on the end?
Yeah.
That belongs somewhere at one point in time, and it's almost as if there's no labeling on it. So now how do you determine where that destination is? It's going to take a little bit of work to figure that out.
Right. Yep. And it's easy to get caught in the cycle of trying to just get by, right?
Yeah.
I'm mission oriented. I just want to get this working. Okay. But after a while it becomes unmanageable, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what are you going to do then?
Yeah. So in a scenario like this, there's really no room to promote any growth. There's a few open ports up there on that patch panel I can see.
Yeah.
But you're working with an entangled mess there, and it's just if you want some future growth and room to work with this, cleaning it up, putting in some cable management, and opening up and freeing the space. Not to consider, if you see all those cords along the face of that bundled up there the way they are, that actually restricts airflow.
Right.
And it's very important to make sure that your system has a decent amount of airflow in order to help keep it cool.
Exactly. And that really virtually has none. You'd have to put a fan at the bottom of the rack and blow it up.
And I imagine maybe they may have gone that route with this and have a fan somewhere in that room blowing on that.
Well, I see the roof, the ceiling tile is open, so that must be the vent.
Could be they're venting it out there.
Yep. But the idea is just, plan the work and then work the plan. If you're gonna set it up, put all the pieces in place. It doesn't mean that every wire has to be connected now or every port has to be connected now. But if you, like you said, you have wire managers in there, you have a way so that when you add, it makes sense.
Sure.
To, you can keep it organized.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's a little bit more tidy. I would still like to see a wire manager in there myself, but it's a lot more organized. Everything
It is.
Yep.
Yeah.
Not like the ceiling though.
We got Qualified Gamer on there. I have a few data rooms that have been poorly maintained over the years. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
just
hey, when a installer goes in there to see it, at least they know there's nowhere but up.
correct.
To go.
Yeah, right.
They're gonna look like a hero no matter what they do.
Yeah.
Even if they just re-pulled everything and zip tied it, it'd look better.
Well, I think part of the problem is too, and I mean, no offense to anyone out there on this though, but I think a lot of people have good intentions when they start a business or they put a data center together in their business.
Right.
They come in, they have an installer come in, it's done properly to begin with.
Right.
But then over time, you have people coming in, oh, we have a new hire employee. Can you run a new line? Well, they don't necessarily go back to using the same person that did the install, or maybe this person doesn't have the same type of knowledge.
Right.
And they just walk in there, plug in a line, throw it up in the ceiling, pull it through, drop it down, plug it in.
Right.
And so now you get this scenario where you have people who aren't necessarily educated to do it, but they're having to do it in these scenarios.
Right.
And they don't necessarily know that, hey, we could get cable managers. We could change the way the air flows in this to help with, as we add these cables.
Right.
So I think when I see a lot of these scenarios, that's kind of what I see taking place is over time, various people coming in and making these changes.
Yeah, Qualified Gamer, feel free to send those pictures to wired@gruber.com.
Oh, yeah, we'd love to take a look at them. Yeah. Yeah, please do. Anytime, like we said before, anytime you'd like to even join us on the show, reach out to us, let us know. We can also do Zoom conferences and have you on. We have all sorts of possibilities on the show. So if you'd like to join us, talk to us, reach out, let us know.
If you look through the archives of the show, we've had our guy from Quabbin in here. We've done remotes from all over.
Yeah.
So yeah, please feel free. We're out of time, unfortunately. That went quick. This could have been an hour show today.
It really could have been, yeah.
Yeah.
But the one good thing is, did we ever find out from Jesse how he's doing today? Jesse,
you doing?
How you doing?
No.
Well, everybody, we thank you. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share this podcast. We appreciate you being here every week. Remember, it's 3 p.m. on Thursdays, Arizona time. And I say Arizona time because our time doesn't change.
No, we're always the same.
So it's 3 Arizona time. So for now, I'm Mark Beach.
I'm John Dotson.
Have a great day.
Thank you.